All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another great episode of the Stoop, where we talk hoops, and more hoops. So we got a little something special today. I'm your guy, TJ. What's happening to my guy, Kev, over there?
Everything is good. How are y'all out there?
We solid. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, we got another great illustrious guest. We're talking about a central, southeastern Pennsylvania product, a guy who roamed over a lot of fields, playing tough as linebacker, high school standout, nationwide standout, then went on to Temple University. Was one of the focal points of bringing the program really, really back. Won all types of awards on defense. Went on to play and probably be a part of the steel curtain for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Super Bowl champion, goal over obstacles, bare hand love. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Rian Wallace. Thank you so much for being a part of the show today, sir.
Yeah, thanks for having me. TJ. I love that introduction. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. So listen, we're going to get right to it. Today's a little different because we're going to talk about that gridiron for you. So at what age were you exposed to football?
I would say 5 years old. I think you had to be, I was turning 5, but you had to be like 6, but they snuck me on the team because all my cousins was playing. So flag football, Pottstown Patriots, I was exposed to about 5, 6 years old.
Got it. So then 5, 6 years old, start playing ball. At what age do you think you can basically do something, or you fell in love with it enough that, like you said, you want to go to a couple different levels with this? Around what age?
I would say, as you know, I come from a very athletic family, so it was always my cousin, Sean Lacey's probably the best athlete in the family. He's about 4 school years older than me. So just following in his footsteps, so I would say 7th grade, but it probably was younger than that. Like, knowing that you can make it to the next level or have goals of going off to college, 10th grade. But 7th grade is having those dreams because we always was playing just rec football and all that type of stuff with the whole fam.
Okay. So what you mentioned that people don't know, man, where you come from, and you come from a very, very talented family. So growing up, what were some of the sports y'all got into, you, your cousins and them? How aggressive did it get, man? How competitive are y'all, man? Because they just know you as a superstar athlete, but they don't know, like I said, you come from a legacy and a big family of great athletes in your own right.
Well, I would say first, where I lived, like in Pottstown, Washington, Walnut, we had across the street, we had this churchyard where that was more like our arena. Every Sunday or Saturday, no matter what was in, we played home run derby over there to fumble rumble, and people now from PA, fumble rumble, or pick them up, knock them out, whatever they call it. But there was a lot of great battles on that. Kickball tournaments, to name the sport we played in my family. Like you said, we tried to dive, we did everything that kept us active. Most people don't understand that got a bunch of Division I level and athletes in the family that could have made it pro, but all those are birthed by the women in our family.
Yeah.
So we're all the sons of the rough women in our family.
Got it.
Okay.
Got it.
Well, what you saying that you guys playing out in the field across the street, was there another sport that you would gravitate to if not football?
Yeah, I think basketball is the most of all of our true loves in the beginning. It's so easy to just pick up and catch a free game. Football, you usually got to wait till the season comes around. Basketball, you can play all year long. So I think I would say hoop. I might have started high school at probably like 5'7". By 10th grade, I was 6'2". I had a big growth spurt, but I was a little more of a guard. But even at growing at 6'2", I had more of a small forward swing guy. And back then, it was like, you ain't 6'1", 6'2" at point, you ain't making it. I mean, there definitely was a lot of people that made it that was undersized, don't get it wrong. But I started to see as a certain coach is like, yeah, but you're perfect size for NFL already at your position. Now, so, you're already 6'1", what you want to play, DN, linebacker?
Yeah.
Or you're already big enough, you don't have to worry about that. It's about skill level as far as size, meaning stature and height.
Got it.
Well, growing up in Pottstown was difficult, and you've dealt with a lot of tragedies, of one of which was the passing of your granddad. It's been said that as a result, you were inspired to earn scholarships that you would dedicate to your grandfather. Tell us a bit about your relationship with your granddad and what it meant for you to finally accomplish those goals of getting these scholarships.
Well, my granddad stepped in more of my figure role, even though he had a lot of grandkids. I was probably one of the very few that he had that really dealt with maybe this ownership from a father, like didn't want to be in his life. So my grandfather told my dad when I was younger, I guess my mom told me, you don't got to worry about him. That's my son now type feeling. So he was always there for me. And I guess he always didn't notice that he probably gave me a little extra love back then, not noticing like that was the true story, the true reason why. So that bond was real strong. And I think around, it was 7th grade, I was just with him. I left off to go do some adolescent stuff, came back. He had he had died on our porch.
Wow.
Stuck with me for a long time. And then going up into high school, I'm more real spiritual and sentimental. So I used to go up to his grave site before every game, like after school. Before the game starts, say at 7, I would drive up there, just spend some time, take a nap, envision being successful, take a little bit of dirt from the grave site, rub it on me before the game. And I felt those was my angels that was with me through all the ups and downs. So it meant a lot to be able to get some scholarship offers and be successful in high school because I played for them. I played like he was watching up there.
Very nice.
Wow. Hey, Goo, listen, man, we understand me knowing that being from Reading and you being from Pottstown, we built a little bit differently, bro. I can remember growing up playing against, Lacia, your cousin, and Bruce Beasley and Ron and Sharon and all them dudes. And
yeah.
I tell people all the time, like, being from Reading or being from P-Town, being from PA, period, Central or Southeastern, we cut a little bit different. We got a little bit of a different type of chip on our shoulder. Tell me how coming back from Pottstown and growing up from PA and going and working hard, develop that chip on your shoulder and how you always want to be top and be aggressive and, at your approach and everything that you do.
Well, first, like most people think if you were in PA, if you ain't in the, say, I guess, Harrisburg or you ain't in the Philly, that, you just in the good part of the suburbs and lovely. And then where Pottstown, where I'm from, the average household income, combined income is like $70,000 now. So imagine back then. So it was a lot of blue collar work. And then you seen on my own corner, it was like the city. My corner where I grew up in was every place got their towns, good parts, but I grew up dead smack in where it was the roughest at my town. So I seen a lot of competitiveness, I seen a lot of stuff that you don't want to get involved in. But my family, I think we were so sports oriented, like we was fighters, don't get it twisted, never was on no side, but we knew there was something bigger for us. So it was just like you said, go through that little jungle right there. We at the arena. We're going to compete until we dehydrated, come get something to juice, and go right back out there. So I think that little gritty part of PA, feeling like you're overlooked, people that come from outside the city, because we had a lot of transport people who came in to hustle in that town and think it's all sweet, and then something happens. So you just come to learn like, I'm going to stand for mine, I'm going to fight for mine. And my friend Rodney Wormley was just messing with me about that today, because even when we went to go play in the UFL down in Florida and at Temple, before I get cool with somebody, I'm gonna end up getting in a rumble with them to test them type, because you're going to try to see something about me, and I'm going to react the way I used to know how to react, which I'm trying to say to my kid is not the best way, but I'm not going to let you get one off on me, never. You feel me? Whether it's or this and that, I'm going to be very reactionary, and it hurt me a little bit, but I think people start to learn to respect you. Like, all right, let me not play with bull. Especially in the football arena, you walk in any locker room, that's like walking into a new jail. Like, hey, who is you? This is my spot. Nah, this is my spot. I'm taking it type attitude.
Got it.
Well, thankfully, you were able to make it out of a lot of that happened on the streets. We understand that we had some tragic losses, friends, family, and so on and so forth, but you managed to still shine in high school. Senior year in particular, you managed to get 153 tackles and had the interest of many schools. But what made you ultimately decide on Temple?
Once again, I don't know, like, I don't have no problem giving people their flowers while they're alive. And I think TJ will understand. You don't understand how much of a great athlete my cousin Lacey was. And he's the reason why I got those 153 tackles, because I had a smaller goal And we're going to keep going back to him, and that's just where my inspiration Now, I had Sharon, who was very successful. I had my cousin Keith Martin. My cousin Rob was very talented. But Sean was more right there around the corner. You could just see him lighting stuff up. And I think he was at Temple. It was his sophomore year. Or, no, it was junior year or whatever. And he was like, I had my goals written out. And I was like 120 tackles. He's like, why don't you go for 153? I was like, that's impossible. What you mean? How am I going to get 153 tackles? No, and he just pushed me, and I set that. So he actually pushed me to set that goal even higher. And when I got it, I was like, damn, I didn't realize that was possible. But actually, if you, like you said, with the right enough motivation and try and prove somebody wrong or be better than what they were, can allow you to achieve those high goals that you didn't think were too close to see.
Well, obviously, you were able to take that and transition it into your time at Temple, because from an individual standpoint, you were very successful. You're the only player in school's history to rank in the top 10 in tackles, despite only playing 3 years. Obviously, if the opportunity to play in the NFL comes, it's difficult to pass that up. But did you ever consider staying for your senior year? Because I don't know if you know this, had you stayed, you likely would have graduated number 2 all time.
Thank you. I actually thought about staying. Like, rewind back, I did skip a part of how I ended up choosing Temple. Like I said, back to my cousin Lace, he was there. I had a lot of lofty Wisconsin came peeking around, Maryland, a bunch of people, but I was the late qualifier with my SATs, and I almost slept with that in my pillow like the whole year till I jumped up to those right amount of points, because I wasn't always this focused. Ninth grade, I got kicked off the football team. I was very, you know what I mean? I was a little pest because we didn't have no JV, and I was acting up in school. So that's where I set my little GPA real low. And I had to realize, I tell my son and other kids all this day, don't dig that hole in ninth grade thinking that you got years.
Yeah.
I'm out to find out, like, Temple was one of them schools that was like, after they looked at my tape one time, UConn offered a couple people. It was like, we'll wait for you to get your scores. And that loyalty right there, let alone the Big East. And now you start seeing, national TV, you write down Pottstown, 45 minutes away. I was like, Temple's a no-brainer, be there with my family. I was going to the parties too early since high school, so I already knew I liked the school. So when it came down to being in Temple, I blew my knee out in the Big 33, sat out a year. So I always had a goal, was like, I want to be the first person to get drafted early out of Temple, and I want to go with my original class because I had the medical red shirt. So when it came time to it, it almost was a no-brainer. Like you said, I was top in the nation. I didn't have the same year I had as a senior, but back to you say that struggle, my mom was about to lose the house to tax reasons. We were like, meaning like, yo, we need $20,000 or there's no house. Right. You feel me? So it made the decision for me. So I definitely, looking back out of maturity and what the NFL was ready, I probably should have stayed my senior year, to be honest. When you look all the way back at it to truly grasp, I didn't know what I was getting into. Nobody knows unless you were there with that monster of the NFL. Meaning it's not enough players, just everything that comes with it. So I love that came back. Being number one, he had a lot of tackles. I don't think I would have got number one, but definitely number two. I tell Lance Johnstone, my mentor, all the time, like, I would have passed you if I played 4 years. Yeah. So it means a lot being able to say, yeah, that's in 3 years, though.
Yeah, absolutely. And Goot, being from P-Town, the physical toughness is there. But let's talk about your mental toughness, man. Like, as you progress from high school to college and eventually to the pros, tell us a little about your mental makeup. How are you able to adjust mentally and fit the shoes and fit the roles that you were placed into?
I think that's probably once again, I'm a father of a 17-year-old about to be trying to do track and made it to the next level. I try to tell him I've never been on a team where I was the fastest or the strongest or the most gifted. But I was a guy that had the most heart and wanted to get outworked. And that's just from being such a big athletic family. That was going to give you your toughness. We're going to get in scraps. Like our brothers will make a sock box. You know what I mean? So yeah. The mental toughness was just built in you. And I don't know where it came. It's just built in you from your grit and that PA grit. That's why they say that Temple tough. For some reason, it's just a natural. You don't even know where it comes from. It's just, yo, this is just my makeup. I'm not going to fold. Now, it's 110 degrees out. Yes, we still got 2 more laps. We got 2 more laps. It's not like, oh, well, it's too hot out. So it's just the grit that's in you. I can't even say where it comes from. Mom, upbringing, it's just certain naturally, but you know not to fold. You know what I mean?
Right. Okay.
Now, I want to ask you a question really quick. We're going to pivot really fast. In the NBA, there's always been interconference rivalries, some being lopsided, Knicks versus Bulls, Clippers versus Lakers, and so on. The Chiefs and the Steelers had quite a bit of a lopsided rivalry, the Steelers dominating most of it, which includes a game in 2006. You managed to pick 6, 30 yards, I believe, as the final nail in the coffin in a blowout. Tell us what you recall about that particular sequence.
Well, that sequence, I remember as a young, I think I was in my first or my second year. I didn't realize what I got into, like me in Temple. I was a great star. I came to #1 defense. Like, oh, man, you got to wait your turn sometimes to get on the field. I don't know. People understand, like, yes, you're still on the team and you be inactive in those gray sweatsuits and the people that are in the street clothes on the sideline. So I think I ended up getting activated that week. And when I got in, they was like, all right, Wallace, you in. I remember I just got that. I read in my defense, read my drop, and I just seen it. Boom, pop. It's just like when you catch that pick or a phone recovery, it's all of a sudden it's like, oh, boom, and it's like an adrenaline rush. Boom. So everything was just happening so fast. They said I did like 4 celebrations in the end zone. Like, remember the movie Show Me the Money when he was breakdancing? Yeah. Got like 4 different pictures from that touchdown. You would think that was just one celebration. I did this. I done spiked the ball. And when I came back to the sideline, Jody Porter was there. Coach Cowell was there. I was like, I told you, get me out that gray sweatsuit. I told you, you know what I mean? The whole memory was when I first got back to the sideline, I said, I'm supposed to be out this gray sweatsuit. And Dick LeBeau Ben told me that. He was like, don't get too comfortable like this because part of me, I ain't going to lie, I got Wally pimped in the league a little bit by some of the old heads because they see me on their top. And I used to be one of the people that not a practice hero, but I was going hard. I was hungry. And you got to remember, these are Pro Bowlers, vets. It's like the 10th week of the season. Like, yo, man, tell him to slow down. Like, he needs to stop. Like, we're not trying to be banging all season. So that's a whole sequence. Me and Joe Green told me at the Super Bowl ring ceremony, he was like, why'd you slow down? I was like, I thought I was about to be the outcast of the team. So it's just a lot, man. I know I went off topic, but that's what.
No, you good.
No, you're good. I appreciate the insight on that, but you discuss a lot of things within the team, but you're also part of a Super Bowl ring team.
Mm-hmm.
The team started out really slow that year, but they got hot, and they became the first team to defeat the top 3 seeded teams on the road. What was the catalyst for that turnaround? Was there something in the locker room that happened? Was it a discussion? Like, give us some insight on that.
Oh, I remember vividly. I think, so in the NFL, right, you have on the board in the main meeting room, it's every game of the season's up there. So I remember Pittsburgh was 15-1 the year before.
Yeah.
They probably should have won it. And it was like Jerome Bettis last year. So I think we hit it like a little slump where everybody was thinking like the 15-1 season was, well, we went 15-1 last year. It's going to be the same. So I think they got a little off track. So as a 16-game season, I don't know, it was probably like week 9 or something. Coach Cowell wiped off everything off the board. He's like, it's a 1-game season from here out. The team just started bonding together. They was already doing a lot more team dinners and stuff, and everybody just like, they started to realize like, yo, if you lose, we done. I mean, before playoffs. Now, I mean, you're not even playoff eligible. You snuck into the playoffs. So I remember vividly just because people count the week like, oh, where we got them. You know, sometimes you look at the schedule, start trying to count early victories. And he just wiped it all off like it's a 1-game season from here on out. And then the team just bonded. I was like, I ain't never seen nothing like it.
Well, that's important that your coach was able to identify something like that and make that change. And that's part of what makes a winning culture. Your franchise, the Steelers are known for being part of a winning culture. Part of that from 1992 to 2017, they had been in the playoffs with very few lapses, making conference championship 9 times, Super Bowl 4 times. And that's difficult, even more so for a small market franchise. Many people would compare that level of consistency to another small market franchise in the NBA, the San Antonio Spurs. Any thoughts on that comparison, as well as a comparison between Tim Duncan and Big Ben as leaders?
I would, to be honest, I wouldn't say Big Ben because he's more of as a quarterback, they are the face, so you would think that. He's more of I'm a lead because he still got the same grit. But I think most of the leaders was like the Hines Wards, the Joey Porters, the Farriers, Casey Hamptons, some of the Shea Townsend, some of the people that you didn't realize like they were really coaches on the field.
Absolutely.
But coaches like where like Stifler coaches like just like a true player coach, and Coach Cowell was a player coach. So I think that when you compare those two, you got the right type of characters in the locker room. And people don't understand this about the draft process. They sit there with a psychologist or a psychiatrist in the room analyzing your response to certain things, looking at your childhood traumas to see if you're going to respond when things are down. Like, I won 4 games, mind you, like maybe 4, maybe 5 games in 3 years at Temple. But I never quit. They played to the end. So it wasn't matter that was he a winner because he's on a winning team. He has a winner mentality. So I believe the Spurs do that same thought process of, yes, you could have won the NCAA tournament, where are you only playing good when you're up? How did you play when you were losing that game? So I think a lot of Steelers stuff is based off them bringing the right type of people with the right type of character or mental makeup to make their success be. That's why I say it's the Steeler way. And people already you've been basically on your Steeler way since you were 7 years old and you didn't know it. So you are the type of character that we won here. And you notice both of those teams don't change coaches often or don't chip. Like, all right, it's down season. We need to get rid of Pop. He won his chip, but when's the last time he won a chip? It's hard to be consistently good, let alone win championships. Right. So I think that right there, small cities, Pittsburgh. I went to the Redskins for a year. You could tell the two different. DC too much to do. Pittsburgh, you forced to be close. So I think probably the Spurs, San Antonio, never been there, but it's probably you're forced to be a closer niche because what? We only got a couple restaurants that we're gonna go to. Why not go as teams instead of this person's on this side of town, that person on that side of town? So I feel the city itself makes the team even tighter when you have that mixed with how the organization up top wants everybody to be. I think that's how it comes together, that you got these small market franchises that are continuously good and you don't know why.
So, many people don't know, man, you've been great for a long time. You was inducted into the Temple Ring of Honor, man. You have illustrious awards. And the same thing with the organization that you stepped into with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Tell us about, that makeup of when you stepped into the locker room, when you stepped into the office and then being known as Sixburg and you've seen all those trophies. What goes through your mind that you got to be a part of one of the most prominent organization, not only just in the league, but in league history?
Well, the thing about it was I didn't realize, like, my family was Cowboys and Eagles.
Okay.
Back and forth. All the women are Eagles fans. I mean, these are not just women who like to watch football. They know football, get hyped, you know what I mean? Type football. Right. And all the men are Cowboys. So it was always back. I didn't know much about the Steelers, even being in PA. Like I should have known. And even before I got drafted, I didn't know who a Joey Porter was because I was too busy seeing what the other linebacker at San Diego State was up to. So I didn't know what I truly walked into. So not being cocky or nothing, I just try to never get too I was like, y'all met Rian Wallace too. You feel me? Even though it's Troy Polamalu, everybody saying this, because how can you be a star next to somebody if you're a fan of them too much? You feel me?
Absolutely.
That's right.
You compete against somebody if you're just in all of them. So I took that mentality more to it. But when you do walk back, when I finally got there and settled in and really looked and seen all the Hall of Famers and seen and start having the flashes of Lynn Swann catching that pass and Terry Bradshaw stuff and me and Joe Graham, I was like, oh, wow, I'm here. Dang, you got to step it up too. So that's pretty much was my thought process. A little ignorance thinking that because some people think college football got to be better than pros. Look at all the long runs. Look at all the long touchdowns, the big passes. When you realize everybody's fast in the league. That's why there's not a lot of long runs. A 15-yard, a 15-yard pass reception is when you think in college, like, oh, he only got 15 yards. Like, you know how hard it is to get 15 yards in the league? So,
some work.
Well, I'm happy that you brought that up with
Okay.
the difference between the two, between college and then to the NFL. Because what I wanted to ask you was shortly after your time with the Steelers, you went on to play with the Sentinels in the UFL. From a competitive standpoint, was there a significant difference between the two leagues? Because you just gave us the differences between the college and NFL. What about the NFL and UFL?
I think there wasn't – obviously there's still a drop-off, but there's still – the UFL was still way higher than college because you got to remember, I'm a 3-time All-American former draft pick in the UFL right now at this point. I mean, 2 years, 3 years in the league. There's a bunch of me's in that part fighting, even hungry, trying to get back. So the competitiveness and the hunger from day one, it's not like, oh, it's a 6-game season, trying to get back to the show. Or 2 weeks of training camp, 6 games. So from the door, it's competitiveness. Obviously, the tier drops off after first and second string, but there's still – Simeon Rice was on my team at that time.
Wow.
It's not free.
Oh, wow.
I played against – Michael Pittman was playing against him, and he was in the time. So there's still people. There was still quality pros that maybe was out of contract. They didn't sign a new deal. They didn't sign with nobody and trying to show they still got it. So it wasn't like it was just a bunch of people that, oh, you may be able to make it. It was actually people that were it was more 85% of people that were already in the league for 2 years trying to get back at least than, oh, it's my first year out of college. I didn't make it to the league.
Okay. Hey, listen, Go. The legendary Dick LeBeau has been a defensive guru for years, and everybody know how his greatness was. And you also played for Coach Cowher. You can take it back from either Pop Warner days or any level of competition that you had. Name that one coach that, really stuck with you, really poured a lot into you, and even to this day, some of the models and monikers that he gave you, you still live by.
I would say my high school coach pushed me a lot, Jody Swig, who passed away. He also was the Rock's head coach in high school at Bethlehem. Okay. He used to always tell me, giving the comparisons about when, like you said, when the big schools was calling, he was telling me, like, yeah, you on your way like Dwayne. And then, like you said, I still didn't watch much wrestling. I'm like, okay, The Rock, okay, got you. But even in college, I wouldn't say I didn't have a person who played linebacker that coached me a linebacker until I got to the league.
Okay.
And I never, none of my high school coaches actually, I'm the linebacker coach, played linebacker, so they was able to see what I saw or wonder why I did certain things. So the whole mentorship and the teaching you, I still had to go back to my cousin Lacey, who played the jack of all trades, defense, receiver, everything else was my biggest mental coach and teaching me some of the tools more than anybody that could really relate to what I possibly saw at that position, because my linebacker coach in college was an ex-quarterback and the defensive coordinator, so he knew the scheme, but he's not in there in them trenches to see why I didn't go exactly where the play was drawn up to be. So when it comes down to that, somebody who actually could see or feel the game like I was, it was still my cousin.
Okay.
Dick LeBeau and them, I didn't get enough. They sent some jewels, and I was never in all. Coach Cowher was definitely for me. I was the last linebacker he drafted. But still, you're running the whole ship. It's not a lot. It's not a whole lot of time to pour into you. So throughout my career, it would be my cousin.
Okay.
Now, you just mentioned seeing and feeling the game. And that's something that I wanted to ask you as well, because unfortunately, due to the pandemic, we're at a standstill with sports right now, as everyone knows. The NFL and Major League Baseball, they still have time to figure things out. NHL is trying to do some things as well. But the biggest push to resume play within the 4 major sports appears to be coming from the NBA. Do you see this as a feasible thing? Do you think it can be done? And how would you feel about playing without spectators as you talk about seeing and feeling the game?
Well, TJ went to Temple, and he knows I didn't play without spectators too for the most part, a lot of times in that big old stadium. So I think true competitors, yes, you want the fans there, you want all that. And they're still going to find a way to get them paid their salary that they deserve and whatever, figure out the fan situation. I don't think the level of play, a drop ball, I don't think because people want to compete. You're talking about these are the less than 1% world, these people in the NHL, the NFL, the NBA. So, and they're ultra competitors. So I don't think they would not compete or not want to do it over fans' sake. If they say it's safe enough for me to play against you and let them work the things out, well, how we going to get the stadiums back filled, I think everybody be strapped up tomorrow ready to go. Now, political things are saying, oh, I want the fans. They only saying, I think they're saying that for the people's sake because, you know, the fans are listening. Why would they look like saying, well, it don't matter if the fans are there or not? You feel me? That's a lie. It doesn't matter to them deep down, to be honest.
Got you. So one of the things I wanted to ask is after you played ball for a number of years, you came back to Pottstown and you established Goals Over Obstacles, a sports-based program that emphasizes the importance of health, nutrition, and education. Tell us more about that program, please.
Goals Over Obstacles, GOO. It's an acronym for my nickname. My cousin Sharon actually came up with the Goals Over Obstacles part. But I didn't see, there wasn't enough, how you say it. World Be Free came to town once, I think, for the NBA. And the Eagles came and did that charity game, but there wasn't no pros coming back, dropping real knowledge of gems on any of the kids, or like you could feel or touch. And we didn't have many that came from the town. I mean, Aaron Beasley came out. He chose not to go the camp route and do that type of stuff. I was like, I gotta bring that to kids because I know what that little 5-minute interaction or that little interaction may mean to some kids' motivation down the line. So Goals Over Obstacles was started because, once again, I wasn't the most gifted in my family, wasn't the most gifted athlete, but I had a goal and many obstacles came in the way, whether it be street, self-inflicted goal, obstacles, whatever. It was just to keep pushing. So I wanted to tell the kids, like, yeah, I'm staying here 6'3", but I wasn't 6'3" and saying, yo, he's going to make it from the door. Like that kid, like, oh, and Pop Warner, like, oh, yeah, he's going to be the one. You feel me? It's still probably a surprise to certain people. It's not a surprise to me, but it's a surprise to certain people that I probably made it. But that's why Goals Over Obstacles was like, don't let it be a surprise to them. I was trying to just instill that in the kids that, yo, if you believe in your goals, it's not going to be easy, but I just wanted to show somebody who really, when you hear my story, you relate to and you believe in yourself from it.
I got a two-part question. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Now, I was just going to ask, it's funny that you should say that, you know, Goals Over Obstacle GOO kind of worked out together, especially when you say that you weren't looked at or perceived as the type of guy that was going to do that. You had to work more toward it to get it, and it just happened to work out as an acronym. But I'm interested in knowing what's the origins of GOO, though. Where did that name come from?
Oh, man. So, origins of GOO was probably like 3 years old. I think I ate all the Easter candy, all this chocolate melt on my face. My older brother, probably a little younger than that, so maybe 2, because my brother couldn't sell GOO right. And he kept on saying gooey, because he was making fun of all the little chocolate on my face. So, and then everybody, I guess it just turned into a joke that it just was like, you don't get to pick your nickname. If you want you to be stinker butt, you stinker butt for life.
True indeed. True indeed. Listen, man, 2-part question for you. After your playing days was done, man, nobody know you was a talented guy when it comes to the culinary. We got, Bare Hand Cuisine taking over, man. You're doing great things in the southeastern area, even back home in Pottstown, man. Tell us a little bit, like, where did the acronym come from, chefing and cooking? When did that become really an interest? And then let's take it there as well. 5 years from now, where do you see Bare Hand Love getting to?
All right, Bare Hand Love Cuisine came from, to be honest, like, my mom being a single mom, my mom could burn. She's probably the best in the family. There's a lot of people in my family that could cook, but I remember she got me and my brother easy bake oven. We done made everything in that joint when we was younger, so it's always a little, all right, summertime, mom's not home, she's at work, trying to flip these leftovers. We're not going to starve. At least we didn't have much, but she made sure, whether it be from the local food shelter, we always had some type of food in there. So me, I think I always liked to eat. So I was just in there playing around, almost burning up the kitchen a couple of times. So fast forward to, I guess, college, my brother came out the Army, went to Morris Brown, then he transferred to Temple. We had our own apartment. Was no more, how you say it, they had no meal plan, so it wasn't no more calf life because I had a son at the time. So you just start chefing it up, making more stuff. But I noticed it was more of a passion of mine, and it grew to when I was a bachelor or living by myself in Pittsburgh, doing like, I can't keep going out to the restaurant every time. I dated my youngest son's mom, and she loved crab cakes. And I'm like, crab cakes? One for $30? Like, let me figure out how to make these crab cakes myself. So once you start doing that, I think me and my brother was playing around, and he was like, yeah, that's that love right there. That's that bare hand love. And bare hand love is just the essence of putting your love and energy into it. And then when we just started to do something, there Goals Over Obstacles was actually trying to take some kids down to Florida. Down to Virginia for a football tournament. And you know, when social media first started out, you post your plate on Facebook. People are like, oh, send me some. I want some. I'm like, yeah, how am I going to get that to you? Feel me? So we actually did a fundraiser for the Outsiders and the Pottstown kids in Reading. Outsiders from Reading and the Pottstown kids who combined to make an AAU team. And I just did a pop-up, and it took off. And from there, I noticed coming out of the league, there's a lot of depression and a lot of stuff that you deal with. When I'm cooking, I'm not thinking about nothing else but how good this food's going to come out, put all my energy into that. So it really turned into a passion, a stress reliever, to a career that's actually growing and getting a lot of recognition. And I don't know if you see my post the other day, I didn't take the same back mentality, like, yo, I'm coming for
I seen that. I like that.
I've been humble. I never popped or talked. Well, you know, some people like, number one this, I got the best mac and cheese. Yeah, I used to say it quietly to myself, like, dude, that's not your personality. Like, you can still be humble, but you allowed to come at people, because on the football field, you ain't never told somebody they thought it was the best running back not to line up.
Absolutely.
That's how that really came about.
We got a little bit of time left, man. I'm going to kind of deviate some things real quick. If you don't mind, Kev, that's cool?
Absolutely.
So if we're going to encapsulate everything from your start, your origin, coming from Pottstown, becoming an illustrious linebacker and being real great at Temple, going to the league, Super Bowl winning linebacker, and now your other ventures going on. Give me 3 words that would describe everything that everybody will understand is your legacy from here on out.
I would say it's my acronym, Goals Over Obstacles.
Okay.
Those is my Goals Over Obstacles logo is the Phoenix. You know the story of the Phoenix. And the word still I rise is you just keep pushing. Now, I'm not acting like it's easy to rise. I'm not acting like those obstacles are easy to overcome, but you can't fold.
That's right.
Got it. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, this has been an excellent episode. I want to thank you so much, Goo, Mr. Rian Wallace, for taking time out with us, man. You dropped some real gems on us, man. Some things I'm going to really think about, and coming from PA too, man. It really stood out to me, man. And just getting to even know you on a different level, man. We've known each other for a lot of years, man, but just to hear you tell your story meant a lot to me, man. So we thank you for coming out today, definitely, and hanging out on the Stoop. To my guy, Kev, thank you so much. Always family. It's been a pleasure. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Stoop. Y'all take care.